Welcome to the Rock is George podcast. I'm your host, George Dionne. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to hit like, follow, or subscribe on the platform that you're listening to us on. You can also check out my work at the loudest.com on the planet, knac.com, for exclusive hard rock and heavy metal interviews, live show coverage, album reviews, and more. My guest for episode 203 is Norwegian vocalist Isabel Oversveen Martin, professionally known as Issa. She recently released her 8th studio album, Another World, on June 7th through Frontiers Music. It's her first album to be completely written and recorded in-house with Martin Brothers Productions, which features James Martin, her husband, and her brother-in-law, Tom Martin, formerly of Vega. And here's Issa to tell you more about it. Today, we're talking about your latest album, Another World. It came out on June 7th through Frontiers Music. It's your 8th studio album, but you're first to fully be written and recorded in-house with your husband, James Martin, and his brother, Tom Martin, Martin Brothers Productions. So was this process a lot easier than kind of the way that you have recorded things in the past with other albums?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's always been something I really have wanted to do, you know. I mean, me and Tom and James, we did Crossfire back a few years back. But we've not, you know, worked together since then. And it's always felt a little bit unfair because, you know, we're family, you know. I'm sat here with these amazing people and I've got my label that sort of like wants me to work with certain people. Yeah, so I think this time around I kind of put my foot down a little bit and said, listen, you know, I feel like I'm growing up a bit. This is what I want to do, you know. I want to be more in charge of you know, the music I do, and you know, I just want to be much more involved. So yeah, Tom and James, obviously, you know, they know me really well, you know, and they want the best for me. So it was a great experience and really, you know, fun. You know, it was all sort of recorded in here and a really easy process, you know, no big fights yet.
So tell me a little bit about the process and how a song comes to be. What is the starting point with a lot of the music that appears on Another World to the end point for you guys?
Yeah, a lot of it would start, well, basically we're from two households. So Tom would be starting on some songs on his end, James would do the same, and it will go on day after day from here, and our living room is just in there. So all I hear all day is the same sort of melodies, and this is kind of how the songs are shaped, and this is where it first starts. And very often, you know, when we're driving around, you know, we'll put it on in the car and we kind of have a little feel about the melodies, or James or Tom would very often do his own sort of melodies and get going on that. But with me and James, you know, he'd get a feel about where I like to lay in my, you know, range and all this. So he'd kind of work around that, and then yeah, we just work from there. You know, he'll go in here. These guys are so talented; they can write a song every day. You know, so yeah, so it kind of got built that way, and then we shape it from there. You know, and build it up, make all the instruments, you know, all the BBs will come on later. We also got our friend Leon, he's just around the corner, so he would be sent it and you know, put on some guitars or BVs, or you know, and yeah, we kind of work as a little, it's an area of people around here at the moment. But yeah, good fun.
It hasn't been that long since you released your last album, Lights of Japan. So how long did it take for Another World to come together and be completed?
Yeah, so it's quite funny. You know, when we did Lights of Japan, I was at a point then where I said to Frontiers, I said, like, you know, I really want to, I want Tom and James to write the album. They were sort of like, they were producing, but they hadn't released anything yet. and I don't think they felt like they were not comfortable enough, but they just felt like, ooh, we'll hang on a little bit further. So obviously Frontiers were doing some interviews and they got Michaela involved, and we did Tom James wrote the album, and it was a lot of back and forward. But with anything, when you write a song and somebody else is gonna produce it, it doesn't always come out exactly how you want it to be. So, doing that to this one has been, obviously, now these guys have worked a lot on their production skills, and they've been doing Nitrates, and they've been able to make the songs exactly how they want it to be. But we didn't, could I say we used a year? But it was it's pretty quick. It's quick for me, but for these guys, they'll very often sit and work on it for a very long time. And so I'll do my vocals. Might change bits and pieces. A song is like a puzzle. It takes time to get it all right. And when all the pieces come together, then you've got a song.
Well, let's talk about a couple of the songs. You have some promotional songs out there from the album. Armed and Dangerous is a single and a video. Why don't you tell me a little bit about this song and how it came together?
Yeah, that's a funny one. It was written by Tom. I think, the label came back and they said, you write really good, like mid-tempo songs, but we're gonna have to have like some more up-tempo songs. So Tom, being the guitarist, he kind of took that role straight away, and he was doing more of the mid up-tempo songs, and we were doing more of the mid-tempo songs here. So Tom is talented, and he just he wrote it, sent it over. It's funny with these guys, they don't sing, so when you get like an idea, it's you've got to sort of like interpret it to your own version. But lucky for them, they've got me, which kind of gets what they're after. So so the songs were, they worked out great. But that was majority Tom, and it's a great song.
You have a music video that goes along with it, where you guys are kind of on this little round that rotates, and then you have some pole dancers on the other end.
That's not me.
We'll put this concept together.
Yeah, so it was hectic because we hadn't had a release date yet from Frontiers, and then it kind of got put on us a bit, and they basically said we need a video in 6 weeks. And we were like, what, 6 weeks? So it was very stressful. So we obviously we got our video guy around the corner. He's great, but he's busy too. He's doing all sorts. I'm not the best person to come up with like ideas for videos. I always find that really hard. So Daniel, who did the video, he said, listen, I've got this friend of mine. He's got this show garage. He does like beautiful cars, and they have this spinning wheel where they rotate all the cars on. We could use that for a night. So that's kind of how the room came about. So it's really, really cool. But we didn't have time for much more than that. That was like the only night we could basically fit in to do anything. So we chose to have some extra footage put in and bits and pieces, try to do our best to kind of, get a video out. So, it was good.
Guys in the band must have really hated the pole dancers.
No, I think they loved them, to be honest.
Another song you have out, All These Wild Nights, good summertime kind of lost love sort of song, if you want to talk a little bit about that one.
Yeah, we kind of we blew our video budget straight away on the first song, so there was nothing left. So this one was quite funny. It's a really feel good song. Those are hard to come by, in my opinion. They're really, really hard to come by, and it's hard sometimes it's easier to do darker songs and um, positive up tempo songs are, they're hard to write. And yeah, James wrote this one. And it's just a really, really good feel song. It's exactly what it is. It reminds me of good times. It's a really cool synth riffs in there. Um, and lots of vocals and BVs, and yeah, it's a really, really good time song, if I can, put it that way. I really enjoyed those kind of songs. But like I said, this is hard to come across them, and it's hard to write them.
Into the album as a whole, it has sort of a 80s movies soundtrack feel to it. I'm pretty sure that's what you were going for, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think, obviously I've been married to James now for 13 years. Can you imagine that? And he loves that. Our life very much on the night, we will put on a Van Damme movie or anything like that. We like that. We like that sort of thing. I would say very much of our life and the music and everything that goes on is inspired by a lot of movie music. Yeah, I guess that's sort of like the feeling this record. I was going to say these guys are doing another record. I know that's like completely on offside, but that's coming out next year, and that's 100% as movie music as you can, possibly do. We're a household where there's a lot of music being made, and sometimes I'm part of it as well. I'll sing these guys' songs or do BVs, or so we kind of work as a team. But yeah, with my record, definitely, it's got the cool riffs, lots of synths here and there, and yeah, it feels a bit movie-ish, doesn't it? But yeah.
Have you ever considered, I don't know how it works myself, but getting your music into movies or movies that are throwbacks to that day and age as well?
Oh, definitely. Like anybody that wants to talk to me about that, I'm more than welcome. I think it's so hard these days to find out exactly what avenues you're going to go down to get heard, with songs. I think if I knew, you know, I would, definitely give them some suggestions. Yeah, I think, if I don't know how it works, to be honest. I don't know how they pick songs for movies or anything like that. But if you know, let me know.
I think Paul Lane on the Frontiers music label might know
Yeah.
if you have his number. He does a lot of that.
Yeah. No, Pauline. Yeah, we worked with him for a bit as well. So yeah, he's great.
Your album artwork, a fantastic little piece, sort of like night and day, and yourself painted there in the front. Who did you do this album cover in-house, or did you hire someone else?
So we've got a good friend called Alex Cooper, and he's such a like multi-talented guy. He does everything. Um so yeah, again, with lack of time and all this, we just felt like, well, we were basically saying, listen, we've done like what 10 photo shoots now. Like, there's so many pictures of me. Do I really have to do another one? It was kind of the question. We just felt like time-wise, we were running out of time. We barely had time to do the video. And Alex Cooper is such a talented guy. He's part of Nitrate. He does a lot of artwork. He does some production, I think, but he helps out with everything, design-wise and anything like that. So we just gave him free hands, and I think he came back with 3 different like suggestions to the front cover, and yeah, we picked one from there. But we thought it suited the title, and it looked cool, and yeah, he's done a great job.
I was kind of hoping to see a vinyl version of this album. Is there still a chance for that in the future?
I don't know. I've not heard anything about it, but I think, I think Frontiers are seeing that this sort of like new direction that we're doing. is getting a lot of attention at the moment. So hopefully, we'll see down the line, what happens. But yeah, they've had a lot of kind of charge of my career so far, and I think now we've kind of gone completely different, not direction, but we're kind of taking it over ourselves. So it's funny to see, the response from people. They're loving it, and they're loving the style and the music, and yeah. So if it continues, I'm sure that they might do a vinyl. Yeah, fingers crossed.
I know sometimes they let their artists press their own vinyls after a certain amount of time. Maybe you could start like a GoFundMe campaign.
Yeah, maybe. I've got my own little shops. I might come up with something there.
Now, I know I ask you this every time that we talk. What are the chances of live performances, whether they're local or whether they're festival appearances?
So, yes. So I would love to do some performances. Like, obviously, I've got 2 young kids at the moment. One is 4 and one is 8. So life is very much about home life at the moment. I would completely be up for any festivals, anything that would come my way. You can nip up for a few days and do that sort of thing. But going on a 3-week tour, I think James would rip his hair out, to be honest, looking after the boys by himself at the moment. So, I've got no plans of immediate going out on any big tours or anything. But any festivals come up, that would definitely be interesting in that. Yeah.
The last time we spoke, you mentioned you were working the demos for a Nitrate album, which ended up being Feel the Heat. It came out in 2023. You also appeared on the song One Kiss to Save My Heart. The album made my top 3 of that year. Fantastic album. I even had the opportunity to interview Nick Hogg and Alex Cooper, who you mentioned earlier. Album got a lot of praise. You guys must all be happy with how it turned out in the end.
Yeah. Definitely. It feels like a little baby, really, because I've done all the songs before it gets sent off to Strandall. So, I've kind of had, I've worked with these guys and sort of shaped it and been part of the kind of making of it, really. Vocally, anyway. And, it's always funny when you see what you've done. It's kind of and somebody else gets it, and, so but we're chuffed. And the next record, I know for I've heard most of it, so it's very, very good. So something to look forward to. But yeah, they're a great bunch of guys, and I love the music. And as much as I do my own career, I also love to be part of other things as well, and creating music and be part of that sort of journey of making records and all that sort of thing. And I think we did One Kiss, and it was one of them songs that just really suited me quite well. And then I think we decided in the whole process to make it a duet, which is great. Yeah, sounds good.
Were there any songs from Nitrate's Feel the Heat that wasn't used that you used on Another World?
No. We wrote this album completely from scratch, which I know Nick Hogg, we actually met him the other week, and he said, I can't believe you guys, you got this song and that song and that song. Why don't you just put him on an album, rather than exhaust yourselves and, we're going to start from scratch. Yeah, he's got a point. There's so many songs in the back catalogue for that we've done here. Yeah, but Nitrate, obviously Nick is part of the writing process there, so they kind of write in their own way, these guys. So that's sort of nothing to do with my songs, but but like I said, the next record as well, I've heard most of it, and it sounds really, really good. So it's a treat coming your way.
Are you working on crafting other bands' albums under the Martin Brothers production organization?
Well, there is there's a very, very cool project coming. I know Tom and James is working on a project personally, just them. And they've got a singer, I think he's Canadian, and it sounds amazing. So I think I'm super excited for that to come out. And I think they're aiming to sort of finish it or release it early next year. But I think it's going to be a self-release. So I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but I think that's what they're aiming for. And see how it goes. But yeah, I can't see why people wouldn't absolutely love that record. It sounds amazing. So yeah.
And all the times that we've talked together, I don't think I've ever asked, how did you meet your husband, James?
My first record, Sign of Angels, had a few songs that they wrote, and we just started to chat from there. So we actually met through the music, really, through that record. And we just really hit it off straight away, and yeah, here we are, like 13 years later, and 2 kids now. So yeah, it's I moved from Norway. Obviously I lived in Norway back then, and yeah, it's good. We got that sort of common interest, don't we, with the music and everything. So it's always a busy household, with everything. So, but yeah, I'm happy to kind of have that life where I've got that around me. I think, as a solo act, if I got married to anybody else, it might have been a very, what shall I say? Not boring existence, but, not having anybody maybe understanding what you're doing, or, this and that. So, yeah, but it's all good.
Or everything might have sounded like it was an Alessandro Del Vecchio production.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
that's wrong with that. Not that there's anything wrong with it. He's a good guy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we just felt like, obviously, being with these guys, it's time for a change now. Definitely.
So now that you have the in-house writing and recording team together, do you think there'll be a point where you have your own label and you're putting your own stuff out on your own timetable?
Possibly. We have thought about that in the past. I think it was more when obviously I wanted to work with them. Frontiers didn't want me to work with them, and it was a bit of time, not so much anymore, but that was the point. I was like, God, should we just maybe self-release and do exactly how we want to have it? But yeah, they've come around to the idea of us working together, so I can't see it being any problem going forward. But you never know, though. Down the line, we might be doing some a release of hidden gems that we got in the back catalogue. I don't know. We it's always an option, isn't it? So yeah, might do. We'll see.
Well, Issa, those are all the questions I have for you today. The new album is Another World. It's out now through Frontiers Music. Fantastic. I definitely think it's better than the last one. The last one was good. I'd say this one's great.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast and tell us more about it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Once again, I want to thank Issa for coming on the Rock is George podcast. Be sure to check out her latest album, Another World, out now through Frontiers Music. Head over to your favorite music streaming platform, take a listen to the album. If you like what you hear, buy a physical copy, support the artist. For all things Issa, head over to her official Facebook page /Issa site. I also want to thank Dustin Hardman and Frontiers Music for making this interview possible. You've been great. I've been George Dionne. Discover your next favorite artist on the Rock is George podcast.